Hello, hello, podcast listeners. This is Angelo, and we're on Season 10, Episode 9 of the Otafest podcast. And with me today is the Jayliest Jay.
It's me. I have always been Jay, and I will continue to be Jay until I decide not.
Yeah. I mean, that is a power afforded to all people to simply stop being the name they're given, isn't it?
Or just stop being.
Well, there's some caveats to that one.
And start doing instead.
What have you been doing lately?
Well, let's see. Halloween just passed. We are now in the month of November, which means the next holiday is coming up. Remembrance Day. I'm
Day,
trying to
where we're remembering about things.
Exactly. It's the one day of the year that it's illegal to forget. So I'm trying to currently align my neurons for the upcoming holiday.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you?
We had a little bit of a League World's watch party yesterday. I don't know anything about League. But one of our friends was having a little watch party, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go for the vibes. I'll go enjoy. Everything that I know about League, I've learned from Arcane. So this is all going to be new to me. All I know is that it was T1, the team T1, which has a guy named Faker, who is the League of Legends raid boss, effectively.
I see.
Yes, he is the Demon Lord of League of Legends, the unkillable Demon Lord. And he lived up to that name when at one point, I don't know what happens. I couldn't explain why this happens. But 3 of the enemy team descended upon him like some horrible plague. And he not only survived, but he killed them. And everybody at the watch party was like, that was bullshit, but I believe it.
Just going back to your initial premise here, I used to play League, but it's not even, I understood, like, I don't know, like 80% of what you're talking about just now, which is great. I don't really care about League anymore. But I just wanted to point out how nonsensical what you just said was if you said it 10 years ago. The words that you used, you were like, I was at a League watch party.
I know. The fact that League watch parties are a thing at all is kind of crazy. We have a friend with a projector, much like you, but not you. So the entire thing was on one of their walls.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was effectively a 110-inch screen. 5 different people flew in to just join, have fun, and hang out. We had someone from Toronto. We had 3 people from California.
Uh-huh.
And one from down the road. They didn't fly in. 4 people flew in, not 5.
But yeah, like, it's not even just what you said about like the League watch party, but you were like, it is chill vibes. It is just I know it. I feel like I'm making myself sound old, but I'm just thinking about, again, how all the terminology you used in a sentence makes sense now, but it certainly doesn't make sense 10 years ago.
No, it doesn't.
It's very weird. But I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad I know the friend you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like it sounds like their community.
It was nice.
But yeah.
I got a free book out of it somehow. I went to a League watch party and I got loot.
Nice.
One of the people attending is someone called Graveweaver. They are the author behind I'm the Grim Reaper. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
I've only heard of it because I know Graveweaver and other friend are friends.
Yeah.
So now I have a signed copy of I'm the Grim Reaper, and
I see.
It's time to read it, I guess.
The
Let me just
only
pause the podcast recording for 3 hours while I read the book.
I see. I thought we were gonna turn this into an audiobook.
Oh, no, I'm actually not allowed to. This book isn't released yet.
All right.
According to
Um,
Graveweaver, I can show the first cover. So everybody who's listening to audio, I
Here's the
will
cover.
encode the bitmap data into audio
The
format. No,
metadata.
I won't. No, I won't. It's
Starting
blue.
with 0, 1,
It's
0.
blue and it has a blonde guy with a gun on it.
I see.
I'm guessing that he's the Grim Reaper.
I was like, I don't, no offense to your friend. I do not know who they are, but I was like, the only uh other famous internet nickname that I know similar was like Corpse Husband. I don't know who they are either. So I am just left in the dark.
That's
I
fair.
went
That's valid.
from I went from having some relevancy to the topic to none. And in the
But Grave
meantime,
is
you
really
got a book.
nice. So I just want to read the book and I want to enjoy it so I can be like, oh my god, your book is fantastic. And then I'll
Very
draw them
good.
fan art or something. I don't know. I don't know.
As well you should. I
Yeah.
remember back when I shouldn't say a wee child. I was probably 19 years old.
That's a wee child
And
by our standards.
nowadays, yeah. And I had first this was when I had first become like Otafest staff. And back in the day, we used to like road trip out to Vancouver for anime evolution in its
Oh
first
yeah.
form, not the revival and the branch off and all that stuff. But back when evolution was AE was AE. Anyways, we went out there and our current staff member and all around good human being, Jenny Chan, uh, they used to write a lot of fanfics and they would submit them to like fanfic panels and other contests and you could win awards.
All right.
Um, and I was like, I don't know anything about fanfics. You know what? The truth is, I still don't. But I was like, I can write. I am, despite how I sound and the words that I say, I'm good with words. I have smithed a word every now and then. And together with another fellow collaborator, Rob, not the Rob that you're probably thinking of right now, but AV Rob,
All right.
he and I concluded that we should also write a fanfic and submit it to this. Uh, I think it was just a general fanfic panel that you could submit either like PG or 18A. Back in the day when
Oh my.
citrus was the norm for judging these things. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I don't.
Oh, it used to be that I don't know why oh, what's the term that they use now? I'm trying so hard to be hip. Um, when people kind of use a code word or like slang to denote something specific to their community,
Okay, like an inside term or an in
kind of,
joke.
yeah. So instead of calling it like G
A
or
very niche
PG,
meme.
they would use the size of citrus to determine how dirty the fanfic was. So
Oh.
it would be like a lemon or a lime would be fairly tame, probably PG, but if you got to like grapefruit, it probably meant that it was explicit and not meant for young readers.
Oh no, what happens if we get to Pumelo sizes?
I don't know. I've never seen a Pomelo grade fanfic because I don't read fanfics. And like I said, I wrote one with my friend Rob, with his assistance, in the course of one night. So we just wrote like a short story. It was about Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. And I will preface it now. is a grapefruit level cataclysmic event.
Oh my,
And
cataclysmic even.
well,
Grapefruit
it was
and
quite the
cataclysmic.
uh it was quite the reach for two very amateur authors. Um, Whereas Jenny probably submitted something that was much more in depth and deserving of praise, which she did win a prize at that panel, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And we also won a prize, but well, they liked our efforts, the judging panel, even though there was no mm, official, shall we say, award that they had a category for us. They created a new one, best newcomer. So we did win, and they gave us a little prize. One of which was a little like a tiny little journal that I took, and I actually used it for years to plan Otafest things, to like jot down notes and stuff. So that was
Oh,
actually kind of useful. But
that's
the
great.
best part was that during the reading of our fanfic, one of the other participants was sketching down on like a piece of like standard printer paper, and they drew fan art of our fanfic.
Oh
And I
my
still have
god.
it to this day because I describe it as my greatest literary accomplishment.
That's fantastic. I love that. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I think I still have the story somewhere because I think I emailed it to myself after I found it one time to like preserve it in my email inbox.
Ooh.
It's I think I read it once and I was like, this is not well written. But it
I
was very
wonder if
fun
Jenny
and it was
remembers it.
creative.
I wonder if Jenny remembers it. Jenny listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she remembers like the premise and the events leading up to and the results.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, it was a good
Oh,
time.
that does sound wonderful. I didn't realize that Jay Wong was synonymous with Shakespeare. I'm learned now.
If that's actually a funny thing, a lot of people don't know that Shakespeare might not really be like obviously he's super revered as like a classic English writer, but there's like theory that he says like he might not really be that great of a writer so much as he was popular.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I would believe that.
like because he was a playwright and he's known for sort of either being willing to use new terms or being trendy in the hip lingo of his time and including said hip lingo into into his plays sooner than anybody else and thus
Well, like you
becoming
can
more
even see
relevant.
something similar to that with modern day social media. It is entirely possible to find wildly skillful artists who
Mhm.
have basically no following, right?
True.
Uh, Now, quite frankly, you can also find skillful artists with an insanely large following,
Hmm.
but there are fantastic artists that have very little traction. And when you figure like 600 years ago, back when the only people who even had the time to do art or publish art were either nobility or patrons of the nobility,
Hmm.
it is entirely possible there was some English peasant somewhere in the countryside uh, uh, scribbling down storyboards in the dirt of their field before they plowed it and sowed wheat.
Yes, only to have famine take hold and to have their family wiped out.
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Famine, plague, a particularly vengeful lord, uh,
True.
uh, Vikings from across the
The
sea.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Tough times.
That do be how it do be.
Yeah.
I don't think Vikings would have been around like 600 years ago. That was like 1,000 years ago. But point remains.
True.
Point
Anyway,
remains. Oh.
I did not think we were going to go on the Sojourn. I don't know if I told that story on podcast before, but I figure after so many episodes, it might be time.
So I don't know about you, but I've been playing some mobile game, singular, lately.
I hate mobile
Pokemon
games.
TCG Pocket came out. That's why it's just one mobile game.
Yeah,
That is why it's just one mobile game, because I hate mobile games. I'm allowed to
yeah.
like one.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm allowed to like mobile game. But games? Right out. Right out.
true.
Pokemon TCG Pocket came out days ago. And it has kind of taken the internet by storm. It is a charming little Pokemon trading card game app. And the focus of it really does seem to be just on collecting cards.
The irony is that it is a trading card game without trading cards. You cannot trade yet.
You can't trade yet.
They didn't release it with trading functionality.
But the fact that the button for trading is there at all is kind of crazy for a gacha game. And make no
It's
mistake,
true.
this is a gacha game.
It is a gacha game. I've been playing too because as we've discussed, I am also a Pokemon nerd. I know it comes to a surprise to many people, but I'm putting it out there now. I like Pokemon.
You
I've
like
always liked
Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Well, name
I
every
liked
one of your
Pokemon.
favorite Pokemon.
Bulbasaur.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But with regards to my previous statement, I don't like mobile games. It's true. I don't. I rarely ever play them, if at all. The last one I played was Pokemon Sleep, and then I went to sleep for a while, and then I
Yeah,
was like, my streak is broken, so I I uninstalled that, and then
entirely
Pokemon
valid.
TCG came out. It's like a simplified version of the TCG because I have not played the actual trading card game in a very long time. But my understanding and my memory of it was that the cards in the actual game are more complicated. Like they'll have resistance stats, they will have maybe other attacks or powers, whereas this one takes some select cards and reimagines them to be a little bit less complicated for when you do your battlings. And you get to collect shiny cards in the meantime. And it's
It's
not
really
too,
straightforward.
yeah, and it's not too money hungry of a game, I find. Not
I'm
yet.
I think that I'm just getting to the point where I'm hitting the end of the
Hmm.
generous period and hitting
Hmm.
the wall of the gacha grind.
Yeah.
So when you first start the game, because you're going through the tutorials, it is giving you all of the gacha currency you need to
Yeah.
open packs left and right. I think that I've been able to open something close to like 50 packs or something of that nature. At this point, I have like 300 cards in my
Mhm.
inventory. 150-ish or 160-ish of them are unique, even. I don't know. Uh, but the neat thing is the way that they allow you to unlock new gacha pulls is just waiting. Every 12 hours you get a new gacha pull, and it will
Mhm.
bank them. It will bank a gacha pull, and you can just in 12 more hours do more gacha pulls.
Yep.
It's pretty good. You can just open up card packs.
You can also reduce the time using gacha currency.
Yeah, the gacha currency just reduces the time. So if you
Yep.
don't have all of the gacha currency to open up a pack right away, you can say, yeah, but I'll be able to open one in 2 hours if I do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is pretty generous. It's really low investment so far. I I really do need to see long term what they intend to do, how they intend to behave, because the
Hmm.
last gotcha game that I really threw myself into was Nikkei, and at first it too was very generous, and then the monetization just got worse and worse and worse until I did not feel
Mm.
good about playing the game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, it seems neat. It seems fun. The actual card battling, I find a single card battle can go anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that's really easy to do over like a break time at work or on the bus or train. Uh, it is stripped down in a way that makes it really digestible on a phone. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good time. I feel like I'm not overwhelmed with too much information. Like don't need to know I don't need to know the meta. I can just build fun little quick decks and swap around cards. And what I really like, not that I really do this, but I like the fact that battles are not uh gotcha gated. Like they are all there's no currency involved in
Oh yeah,
battling. You can battle as
you
much
can.
as you want, anytime you want. I test decks that way. I think that's the intended purpose.
Yeah, and it's not like you're just playing against AI. There is actually online battling that you can do if you want to.
EVP.
Yeah, you can PvP.
Yeah.
And the one thing about that worries me, PvP in gotcha games specifically can get exceptionally what is the word I'm looking for? Very competitive.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the case with Pokemon TCG.
I
Right
think
now, it is
it's not
very
complicated
straightforward.
enough. Yeah. It's almost strategically, I think it's almost too simple for that to be the case. And what I really mean by that is like you only have so much to build off of, like I think through the meta game that you don't have to like there's almost not enough win cons that you can build into a deck. You can really only build, I think, around one or two at the most. Uh because the deck size is so limited, being only
Yeah,
20 cards for one thing. So
for
I
me,
don't know.
the only things that are very difficult to overcome, there are certain deck strategies that are just build something reasonably strong very fast, like EX Starmie. Starmie does 90 damage a shot, has 130 health, and can be doing this within 2 turns.
Wait till you meet EX Mewtwo.
I have EX Mewtwo. Maybe I should try using that to take down
Oh
Starmie.
no, it's because of the deck builds. EX Mewtwo, the deck build in there is actually I would almost call it impressive. I thought it was pretty cool. Uh,
Oh.
it ramps up energy as fast as the electric deck does, except Mewtwo does 150 damage.
Oh my. And that's the
Yeah,
other thing. Like, there are decks where you can start doing a lot of damage very fast, or
yeah.
decks where you can do an absolute boatload of damage, but on a more slow burn. Like
Have
EX
you?
Venusaur, for example, can do
Yeah,
130 damage per turn. No, 100 damage, I think it is per turn,
yeah,
but
and heal
heals
30.
30 damage every turn
Yeah.
and has 180 HP. That is insanely huge.
Uh, one of the low key cards that I have been playing around with is Butterfree.
Oh, really?
Butterfree has a power, like I don't know what it's called. I can't remember right now. It's an ability. So it doesn't have to be actively in play. It could just be on your bench once you get it to Butterfree. It heals all of your Pokemon for 20 HP,
That's massive.
just sitting in the back.
Is that like EX Starmie or regular Starmie? Or not
No,
Starmie,
Butterfree.
Butterfree. Butterfree.
I don't know if there's an EX Butterfree. It's just Butterfree.
That's crazy.
Butterfree.
Imagine having a potion card, but for every one of your Pokemon, literally every turn.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have to have energy on them for that power, or is it just a
No,
natural
it's a
power?
power. It's not an attack.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That
But
is
anyway,
ridiculously strong.
it's a fun time for now. I really don't know about the longevity of this game necessarily, other than it's a fun way to collect Pokemon cards without collecting Pokemon cards, without having to buy boosters and boxes, which is, as people know of me, something I don't care to do. I like playing TCGs. I just don't like buying into TCGs.
Yeah. I
So,
still have all of my old Pokemon cards. I haven't bought a new Pokemon card in over 20 years.
yeah.
I think the last Pokemon card that I obtained, I literally found it on the ground in the rain, and I was like, "Ooh, a little shiny Zorua card. I will put this in my wallet and see what it looks like when it's dry."
I will say, however, that is not necessarily true of me. I have recently bought Pokemon cards within the
Didn't you
last
do the
2 years.
McDonald's ones?
Yeah. The Pokemon
Yeah,
cards is McDonald's. But that's a little different.
it's a
It's
little
not
bit
different,
different.
but it's not different. But it is different, but it's not.
But
It's
yeah, the
okay.
TCG Pocket game, it really seems more about collect virtual cards, have fun, make little binders full of your favorite Pokemans, and occasionally, if you want to, take them out and see what the battling feels like.
Yeah. I believe that there is like a TCG, like a Pokemon TCG, also official, but it is the full style game.
Really,
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it. All I know
I'm
is I
honestly
don't need
not that
it.
interested.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm happy with a stripped down version of it.
It'll be fine
I got my
as long as
special
you're having
Slowpoke
fun.
card, and I'm happy.
Special Slowpoke card?
Yeah, there's a rare Slowpoke. It has fun art.
Oh,
There's
are you talking
also a
like the
Golbat.
full
Yeah, the
art?
full
Yeah.
art card. There's
Yeah, and
also a
then you have
Golbat that looks
yes,
like it was drawn
psychedelic.
by, yeah, very psychedelic, almost like Vincent Van Gogh drew this Golbat.
Mm.
It's very cool.
I my best I have like a full art EX Charizard. It is a nice
Oh,
looking card.
nice.
Is a good time.
That is one of the interesting things. I unpacked the EX Mewtwo card,
Yeah.
and when you do that with the super rare cards, with the effects, with the effectively the the ultra rare cards, they give
Hmm.
you a fucking cutscene when you
Yes.
unpack them. They're crazy.
Yes.
Like
I
this
got
Mewtwo card, the art on him is showing him escaping the what was it? The
the
was it
lab that he was
Silphco? The
created in.
lab, the lab that he was created in.
Yeah.
But then it like backs up into the lab, shows like glass shattering out, and the test tube that he was grown in. That's not shown on the card. It was neat. It
That's
was
pretty sick.
cool. Like they have put some effort into this game. It's
Yeah.
fun. I enjoy it.
I, I it is currently the only other mobile game I have, which has been on my phone for a long time, but it is not a gacha game. It's not even online. It's just a single player mahjong game.
Oh,
No internet required. Sometimes when I'm really bored, I'll play mahjong.
valid.
Yeah.
Fair.
Um,
Uh but
Speaking of
mobile games.
monsters, no, monsters.
Monsters. No
Monsters.
pocket monsters.
No, I'm talking about big monsters.
They can't fit in your pocket.
At least not that I've seen. Um,
You'd have to have very
I
big pockets.
True. The pocket size is important. It's relevant. Uh, the Hunter Wilds beta has been out for the past couple days. I think it actually ends today. It's a good time. I love Monster Hunter as a franchise. I was very glad when Monster Hunter World became Capcom's best-selling game in its entire history. because it basically guaranteed that we would get more quality Monster Hunter to come.
Nice.
And while this is an open beta, uh, and meaning it is not without its faults and bugs and glitches, it plays really well. I'm having a hell of a time hunting little monsters, grabbing all the little resources, riding my bird dragon mount thing that you get right from the bat just to improve mobility. It's it's just such a good time. And every time they iterate Monster Hunter, they try to like they go for this nice balance of like it has to be hard, like it has to be somewhat difficult because it is like a skill based fighting system. Like there's no sorry, when I say skill based, I need to clarify. You need to have a good command of your button inputs for you to have a good time because you're not relying on in-game character skills. Like there's no press Q and your ultimate appears. It is you need to press A and B at the right time or press left trigger and right shoulder and then you'll execute a certain attack or you'll have to do, sort of it's like fighting game inputs,
All right.
but you're fighting a monster that is literally 18 times your size, and all
Hell
you
yeah.
have is a hammer.
Hell yeah. Hell
It's a
yeah.
good time.
That
I
does
think you
sound
would
fun.
really like it. I think you would like it a lot if you ever got into it.
I'm sure I would. It's just that for me, I've never played Monster Hunter before, and it always seems like when a series goes on long enough, it feels
Intimidating?
intimidating, a little bit unapproachable. Like
Yeah.
if Dark Souls 4 were to come out tomorrow, I would go nowhere near it. But when
Mm,
Elden Ring came out, because even though it was like a Souls-like, even though it was from FromSoft, it was a new thing, and
mm.
yeah, I can get into this. It's I understand that it's based on the old stuff, but everything that I'm interacting with, all of the story, I'm not missing anything there. So it's
Yep.
just the gameplay that I have to wrangle.
Mm.
But what you're
Well,
saying is that they keep the difficulty there, but have they improved the quality of life at all? Have they made
they
it?
always do. It used to be, for example, that so there's like a Soulsborne-esque style of gameplay where like you have to rely on your stamina meter, like you're keeping an eye on out on that. You need to make sure you make your dodges or your blocks. You need to heal. But back in the day, in the older Monster Hunter games, for example, if you were drinking a potion to heal, you had to drink it while standing.
Oh boy, so you couldn't move around or anything.
Exactly. And then in later games, you could walk around. That's nice. It seems reasonable that a human being could drink and walk at the same time. I like
Yeah.
the idea of that. Um, they have made some things a little bit easier to execute in terms of what I would call like supplemental quality of life gameplay. But on the whole, it is very much the same game as it used to be, and it would have like all the all the skill checks that you need to pass in order to feel accomplished in that game, shall we
All right,
say.
that's fair.
And it has monsters. Did I mention
Big
that?
monsters.
Big monsters, huge monsters, difficult monsters, annoying monsters. It's good. It's
Nice.
it's it scratches the itch.
It itches the scratch that the monster hunters require.
Yeah. I would
Nice.
recommend it to anyone who wants to try something that isn't as lore heavy as any Souls game. It has cooperative play, and again, you get to you get to just bash monsters in the face.
With a hammer.
sometimes with a hammer or a
or a
great
big
sword.
sword. Not gonna lie,
There's
I
many,
love
many things.
absurdly large weapons.
Well, then Monster Hunter is your game.
For real. It
You can have
doesn't
a
matter what
lance.
kind of weapon it is. It could be a hammer, it could be an axe, it could be a sword, it could be a bow taller than I am. As long
Yeah,
as the weapon is comically large,
yeah.
I'm down.
And you can just, oh, that's the other thing. I spent an hour and a half alone just in character creation.
Oh my.
It's such a good time. It like I thought it was really good in World. I did not play Rise because Monster Hunter has kind of split its franchise into two uh play types. Like they're both kind of similar, but one is a little bit more cartoony. Cartoony is maybe not the right word, but like
My
one is a
understanding was
little
that Monster
grittier.
Hunter Worlds was more story driven rather than skill driven, if that makes sense.
No, they're both story driven. It's just like an art style direction and the
Okay.
tone direction.
Okay. I get you then.
But yeah, like they're very much good games and they still evolve off of each other. They don't all evolve completely independently,
Nice.
but like it's a good time. I cannot say enough good things about it. I can run the game on ultra settings at 50 FPS. That makes me happy enough.
I mean, don't you have a 3090, right?
Yeah.
You should be running everything at ultra with
Yeah, that's
many,
true.
many FPS.
Yeah. There's just more stuff that there's more settings that I can't use because NVIDIA doesn't develop for that 3090 really anymore, but that's
How dare
fine.
they?
I don't
How
care.
dare they sell a graphics card for more than a used car and then not support it 4 years later?
It's actually what's actually funny is that a lot of the complaints in the beta actually stem from people having better cards that have like certain settings enabled, and that's what's causing the issues.
I believe it. I believe it.
So I am having the best time not having to worry about that stuff.
I mean, to kind of speak to that situation, Dio's got a 3060 Ti. So while it's a mid-range card that's a generation older now, it's still no slouch. And while playing Silent Hill 2, the remake, Dio was getting really, really bad frame drops. Like,
Mm,
starting to look like we're running the game through PowerPoint kind of frame drops. And what was insane to me was that the CPU isn't being maxed out. The graphics card isn't being maxed out. RAM doesn't appear to be maxed out. What we figured
interesting.
out was a massive bottleneck for that game specifically was streaming in assets from disk. By simply moving the game install from a hard drive, like a physical hard drive, to an SSD, it improved performance probably 30%. But even with that, neither CPU or GPU are being maxed out. It is a poorly optimized game.
I mean, I mean, a lot of that still just has to do with like the video game development side as opposed to your hardware, right? Like
Yeah.
there are games where like every now and then I'll still hop on a like GTA 5 or specifically like online, literally just to drive around or fly around. And I have that game on ultra settings because that game is old as heck. And I have a card that's way like my computer is way too good for GTA Online. But it still kind of looks like crap sometimes because the game itself is not programmed to be able to display the level of fidelity that my computer can handle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a legendary issue.
Yeah.
Another very similar thing that'll happen within game dev, especially during the later part of the development. Graphics card vendors like Nvidia or AMD, if one of
Hmm.
them is like sponsoring the game, which is pretty common, they will work with the developer to optimize the graphics for their graphics cards. Like you will have Nvidia developers working with Capcom or potentially AMD developers working with Capcom to try to be like, yes, this is how you should change things to optimize the frame rate, and we'll do some magic on our driver side as well. So on release date, there's probably going to be a driver update for your graphics card that will be optimized for that
True.
game.
I kind of I don't love driver optimization of my hardware though.
Oh no, it's
Like
stupid. I hate
I
it.
get it. I get it. I get it for
This is something that has been
I don't want to
happening.
sound like a hardware elitist. Because I'm gonna go ahead and say that I am probably actually just a pleb level person with access to resources that are beyond their need. But I
Uh,
do like the idea of controlling my own things because I bought them for that purpose, in my opinion.
my personal opinion is that developers should stick to the public APIs of things and program things well and solidly to be basically perfect.
Hmm.
They should program things correctly. And that way, driver updates to support one game won't be a thing. I strongly believe that this is the way that it should be. And I also
Hmm.
strongly understand that is impossible because developers, much like myself, are lazy assholes. And if one thing works,
Everything
we will do
works.
it. A famous example of this is like months before Windows 95 was going to be released. Microsoft sent their developers to stores to literally buy every piece of software that they could find on a store shelf. If it
Hmm.
was easily accessible software that was on the store shelf, they went and bought it and they tested the hell out of it. They wanted to make
Hmm.
sure that public software would work. And they found that they actually had to make very specific software optimized fixes for specific software within Windows. Windows 95 was designed with fixes for like Roller Coaster Tycoon and uh,
Oh
different
yeah.
database programs and accounting programs. They wanted it to work perfectly with the software that people would work with. And another very famous solution was the reason why there is no Windows 9. There is no Windows 9 because back in the late 90s, developers would test to see, I shouldn't say late 90s, early 2000s, but when people were still running Windows 9X versions. Developers would test to see if you were running Windows XP or Windows 2000 by checking to see if the Windows version started with a 9 or not. And so when Microsoft was testing what was going to be Windows 9 between Windows 8 and Windows 10, a lot of software that is still in use today was checking to see if it was running on Windows 95 or Windows 98 and thinking, ah, yes, I am running on Windows 98, and
Hmm.
completely failing because what would later become Windows 10 was absolutely not Windows 95. And that
Weird.
is why Windows 10 is not called Windows 9.
That's really funny. But I get it. Like, well, hearing that story might be like that sounds like a really dumb thing. I can't believe they didn't future proof it. It's like I used to sort of think the same way because it's very easy to be mindful of hindsight and apply hindsight when it's a lot harder to actually apply foresight.
It really is.
Like the makers of Windows 95 probably never thought that they would get to as many iterations of Windows as they did, or they thought that maybe they would not go away from
The
a
yearly naming
yearly
scheme.
iteration number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these are things that, believe it or not, the programmers were not thinking about when they were making it.
On top of that, all of the programmers making programs for Windows 95, every single one of them was thinking, why in God's name would someone be using this software in 25 years? They should be buying the new software that we put out every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
And you, dear
surprised.
listener, should be listening to our podcast that we put out every 1 to 1 weeks.
My God.
My God.
That's too many.
No,
We're becoming
it's
the
one many.
One Piece of podcasts.
Is the One Piece real?
The One Piece is always real. Always.
One Piece next week.
One podcast episode next week. Goodbye.